The Greeks call her Eos, the Romans Aurora. But if you follow the Shinto religion of Japan and want to pray to the goddess of dawn, birth, meditation, revelry, and the arts, you'll bow down before Ame no Uzume. And that's the Shinto kami we revere here in the Doom Room. I'm Alex, and I'm doomed.
This has become a little poetry section, and I'm like, hey, brother, give me a little bit more elbow room. Boom, boom, I'm in the Doom Room. I'm Justin, and I'm doomed.
I'm Pete.
And we are going to be talking about Doom Patrol Season 3, Episode 4, Undead Patrol. Spoiler warning here, in case you haven't checked it out in a while. But after the Doom Patrol came back from the dead, in this episode they turned into zombies. And they've only got one cure for that, and that's to eat Niles' head. Now, other stuff going on in the episode, specifically we see the return of an old enemy from the Bureau of Normalcy who has turned into a carnivorous butt. The carnivorous butts are also back this episode. And meanwhile, Michelle Gomez's character, who we find out is named Laura DeMille, is explored more fully this episode as she teams up with Kipling to try to save the team. We find out maybe she's a bird, maybe she's an Ottoman. Whatever it is, there's a deep mystery going on with her that we're going to find out a lot more about going forward. Pete, let's start with you, because the ultimate end of this episode is they eat Niles' head. Though Niles is back most of the episode, you're kind of a Niles hater. How'd you feel about all this?
Niles is definitely not back, so I don't appreciate you saying that. But
he's back.
This is an insane ep. Like, they jam-packed so much into this episode. I have a little bit of a whiplash. It's just it's enough to maybe turn them into zombies, and that can be an ep. But then to have the kind of butt monsters come back, and then, it's zombies versus butt monsters. I mean, there's a lot going on. But
this is my favorite episode of this season so far.
Really?
Really liked it. What a great previously on where we get all like butts and I was like, what is this episode going to be with all these things they're teeing up?
That was interesting. I was like, we haven't previously on. You bring up the butts. Why is that important? Oh, man.
So I was excited about that, and I thought it really delivered. I mean, Willoughby didn't just bring Niles back. He made him an undead podcaster. My dream. That's my dream.
Yeah, you want the mic sewn into your mouth? And
exactly. I want people to mail me around to different listeners.
Oh, my
like
God,
the Sisterhood of the Traveling Dead host.
Pete heard, I could cut off your head, and he's already headed towards you. He just went off mic. He's heading to your place. He's going to take care of it a little early. I kind of agree with Pete that there was so much, almost too much going on this episode, but I also agree with you, Justin, that it was very fun at the same time, and I laughed out loud a bunch. So ultimately, it's a net win for Doom Patrol.
Did the flickering, like, single frame thing, whatever was going on in this episode, drive you guys insane, or what
are you talking about?
Oh, man, was it my internet connection? It just sounded like there was, like, a white frame every once in a while that it was, like,
maybe you were just blinking.
Oh, okay.
At different times.
Maybe I'm crazy.
I did notice that, but...
Oh, you did? Really? No, I didn't see that at all. Oh, you didn't? You didn't notice that. I would... great topic here for our podcast. I would check your internet connection.
Oh, man. Well, okay. Well, I'm glad that was an issue for you guys, because I was like, I kept trying to freeze frame it because I thought maybe there was like something else going on in the episode. And I was like, this is insane.
Did you guys have a thing where your windows were a little rattly in your house while you were watching this?
Oh, you have a ghost problem is what you got.
Ghost?
Oh.
Yeah.
Just regular ghosts or sex
Did you
ghosts?
guys, I mean, while we're talking about this, did you have this thing where you got like a little bit hungry halfway through and you paused it and stepped up, put a slice of pizza in the air fryer, heated it for like 2 minutes just so it got like nice and fresh? Blew on the piece of pizza a little bit.
I'm sorry, when in this episode were you hungry? When they were zombies and just they had open sores all over their faces, or when it was butts?
When the zombies were eating the butts, I was like, snack time.
Oh my
Alex,
God.
wait, just let me follow up on this because it's so crazy. I had the same thing. Did you then take a bite out of the pizza with pepperoni and black olives? Oh my God.
What? Wow, they got to fix that episode.
Man.
There's something wrong with that episode.
That happened to both of us.
Yeah. We're synchronously biting into a slice of pepperoni and black olive pizza.
Do you think the white flashes, maybe they were melty cheese, Pete?
Oh, my God. Black olives should not be on a pizza.
I mean, where else should they be? Why don't we get more into this episode? There was actually one note that I wanted to mention. First off, the last episode we talked about how the Dead Boy Detectives Agency was good enough that it should be a spinoff. I don't know if it's still in development, but it was a spinoff. They specifically they loved that episode and were looking on developing it as a spinoff. Obviously, then COVID was in the middle there, so that messed up a bunch of things. But yeah, we'll see if that might actually happen, because that would be a lot of fun.
I'm really worried I'm having a stroke or something. That whole.
Oh, you're still stuck on that?
Yeah, that didn't happen at all to you guys, and it was like happening throughout the episode. I was really upset that they weren't addressing it.
Do you think the DC flip has started to overtake the rest of the episode for you? You're just it's become a life. Maybe you have a Pete's life flip.
Oh, man.
Well, let me ask you a question. I mean, just to check as your medical professional to see if you have a stroke. One of the things that often accompanies it is you smell weird smells, like deliciously cooking pizza with pepperoni and black olives. Did you smell anything like that during the episode?
Stop saying black olives.
Olives?
You're ruining a perfectly good slice of pizza. I mean,
let me just say your other doctor, Dr. Tyler. Have you noticed that your Mountain Dew and vodka is starting to taste a little bad?
Well, that's usually just because when the Mountain Dew goes flat, it's not as enjoyable, you know.
One other note that I wanted to give while we're talking a bunch of nonsense here, I did not realize until I started watching the stay tuned after the episode for a look inside the episode thing that, I don't know how to pronounce his name, I'm sorry, but Jovian Wade, who plays Cyborg, is British.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
Another classic British guy playing an American superhero. Very surprising.
It's great. The Brits get us.
Brits do get us. Why don't we actually jump into the plot of the episode? So great seeing Kipling back here. Loved his team up with Laura DeMille. They are so much fun together. But what did you think of, and maybe you have a difference of opinion here, but kind of the swerve that Michelle Gomez's character is maybe not the bad guy, but maybe actually a good guy? Or do you still think she is a villain?
I have an even more intense theory.
What?
I think that she might be Rita.
What? Go on.
Wait. How could she be Rita in the film and then also be Madam Satan in that film?
Well, I think
whatever.
I think there's going to be something where this is like a group or a legacy or lineage or something. The way that she was when she was on the roof, supposedly dropped the petrified dragon piss on Darren's head. She was being Rita. She was doing full Rita conversation. She couldn't get her powers to work and then messed it up and became the Ottoman. So I think we're going to find that that Michelle Gomez and Rita are sort of one and the same, or the Sisterhood of Dada is like this collective that Rita has come out of.
Interesting theory. Well, what about you, Pete? Are you on... Do you believe Justin's theory? Do you have an alternate theory? What's your take on
Justin's theory just blew my mind a little bit. I thought she was, because of the alarm going off, thought she was horrible. But then when she got near the alarm and it wasn't going off at all or doing anything, I thought maybe something else was happening because she was, maybe had amnesia. She didn't know the evil mission that she was on, so that wasn't sounding alarm. But, I just thought, that she was, a person who had an evil mission, but then when she kind of lost who she was, that threat went away.
Well, the interesting thing, and maybe this is making a couple of assumptions here, but we find out that Niles let her go from the Bureau of Normalcy, presumably. So it seems like it's just a jilted employee thing. Like she got upset because she got fired and then is going after Niles to give him a piece of his mind, which seems... Maybe I'm way off there, but that seems like a very classic Doom Patrol thing for me, to treat a relatively low-stakes thing with supremely high stakes. You get fired from a job, so you still a drill time machine go through the earth to tell the guy, off, and also very classic in terms of like what everybody else wants to do with Niles. So if that is what it is, I do enjoy that. And I also, if she is maybe not good, but like not a bad guy, not an ultimate villain, I really like that as well. I love seeing her work with the team, and I like
especially her and Rita together are fun.
Yeah, well, and it's also another very classic Doom Patrol thing of having a character come in who has a mission and they're like, I'm very focused, and then that mission completely dissipates and they're like, what do I do now? What is my life?
Well, and let me throw two more things that I naturally support my theory. I think the fact that she comes in a time machine feels like, what's the point of doing that? She could have just been in a drill. If it isn't going to be a displaced member of our cast, like Rita. And second, isn't it telling that her first move when she arrived is to randomly kill the woman who made Rita feel horrible?
But Rita was the one who dismantled the time machine. Why would Rita, you know what I mean? Also, she knew what to kind of pull out, but I guess maybe you pull anything off the wall, you know, you're going to. But I just think that, like.
wait, hold on a second. Hold on a second there. You know, that's not how the machines work.
Well, if you keep pulling enough plugs, you're going to dismantle it. It wasn't like, you know. But
if I if I go to your car and take off all the bumper stickers, it'll probably still drive.
Obviously.
You're
Pete,
like, I'd
maybe
rather
I'm misremembering, but you hosted that show on MTV called Dismantle My Ride, right?
Yeah.
So sort of a bummer at the
People
end.
didn't like it. People weren't happy afterwards. They were like, this sucks, man.
Yeah,
put my ride back together. And
we're going to play 5 more episodes of ridiculousness instead.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Pete here on Dismantle My Ride. We are here with Snoop Dogg about to take his car apart.
Yeah, all right, you're going to put it back together at the end of the... Nope.
No. That's the show. Later.
So yeah, love Michelle Gomez, loved her delivery. Her delivery is like nobody else's, the way that she delivers lines. There was one thing, I wrote it down, when she's talking to Rita. Oh, when she says, it is really annoying, she almost swallows the word. She's like, it is really annoying. And
yeah,
great. Just everything that she says is great. Love her.
She's amazing. Everything she does, she is one of those people who can be both a great character and unmistakably herself and sort of sell it on both fronts. And I think that's so rare in entertainment.
Yeah. So
it's just fun to see kind of like what she goes through as far as like we think she has this kind of like super drive, then gets kind of lost in who she is and has these hilarious moments. And because of the choices that she's making, is just so much fun. It could be hard to watch somebody go through something like that, but she pulls it off with such ease. It's enjoyable to watch.
Well, on the other end of the spectrum, or at least on the other side of the episode, why don't we talk about the choice with the zombies, specifically the choice to convey the zombies' dialogue. How did you feel about that?
I thought it was cool.
Yeah,
I loved it.
That's hilarious. It's fun to be able to understand zombies finally. So I really enjoyed it.
It made for a lot of fun while also keeping the zombie thing and still advancing the story in a great way, I thought.
Yes, it was very goofy, but very purposely goofy. Like you could almost see everybody almost laughing the entire time when they were doing it. But that's all right. They're having fun. They're having
the moments like the zombie groans when he starts like monologuing, and they're like, "Oh, this guy." It was just such a funny thing to have zombies doing. I very much enjoyed the use of
that. Was one of my favorite moments of the episode. Them still being the Doom Patrol and being like, "Come on, we don't want to do this. We don't want to go through this. Please stop it."
Yeah, nobody cares about your backstory, guy.
Yeah, and I also, in the midst of all this fun and sort of over-the-topness, there were still moments that were genuinely creepy, like the fly going into Jane's nose. I thought was really Cyborg's skin peeling up. Like,
I can't believe someone stopped and ate in the middle of this.
I'm so hungry. His skin looked like pizza.
It was so gross.
In all honesty, I didn't want to say this earlier. I stopped every 10 minutes.
Wow.
I just kept snacking and snacking and snacking.
Oh, man.
I'm very hungry, Pete.
So gross, man.
How many brains do you think Alex has eaten?
I did like that moment when Cliff was like, "Hey, what did it taste like, guys? Come on."
Oh my God, Cliff, while we're jumping around here, Cliff at the end of the episode when everybody wants to move on and have their mouthwash martinis and he just keeps talking about it and everybody keeps telling him to shut up. So funny.
I mean, Cliff had a great episode across the board.
As per usual.
We find out his great nickname, Cheeto Dick, which a couple Cheeto Dicks on this podcast.
What? Not pointing any fingers.
Cheeto and Dorito, right, you guys?
Which one are you pointing to?
I don't know what's going on right now.
You know who you are.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Frito Dick.
What is happening?
Cheeto, Dorito, and Frito.
I gotta be honest. I don't know which one are you referring to, but I really hope that I'm not Dorito Dick because
you answered first when I said it. So you are
true.
forever.
I did do that. My absolute favorite Cliff line. I did like the Cheeto Dick was very funny. Him saying that time travel doesn't exist because otherwise it wouldn't be called Cheeto Dick was so great. But my absolute favorite thing was when Laura is leaving to go back in time or about to leave to go back in time. And Cliff says, "Hey, tell him I said," and then holds up his middle finger, his delivery on, he'll know what it means.
He'll get it. Yeah, just so funny.
Oh, God.
Very good. I told my dad to suck a bucket of vaginas. Also fun from Cliff.
Oh, my God, yeah. He had some great. And then This Way, Solomon Grundy's was just really just a fun line as well.
That was fun. Now, one thing, let's talk about Cyborg's thing, because it really is sort of continuing to skirt his emotional arc, not just for the season, but the character as a whole. His dad surprisingly shows up, was fired by Star Labs for what happened, or at least put on administrative leave. We get another mention of Ronnie here without her showing up, but Cyborg still seems stuck on her. By the end of the episode, after finding out that there was an option of synthetic skin and his dad instead went for robot parts, he holds up this mirror in what I thought was a great shot where he gets to see what his face would look like whole without the cyborg implants. So what do you think's going on with him? Where do you think he is and what potentially is going to happen next?
I was just a little upset because before his dad walks in, he looks at himself in his skin and it's eating away as he's turning into a zombie. And I'm kind of like, hey, maybe bring this up to your dad. He might be able to help you with this. That part was kind of eating at me the whole time during the conversations.
Eating at you? Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I was mostly thrown, I'll just mention, by Silas showing up. The way that he was just there, it felt like it was a dream sequence or something.
Yeah, I didn't think it was real.
I felt like it was fast because there was so much in the episode. But I think that he's going through changes, I think prompted by Ronnie really challenging his sort of moral superiority. And now he's like fully going through everything and wanting to be different or what he thinks is better to try to get her back.
I do wonder if we're going to get some sort of regular human skin thing for him and whether it will end up in the direction of either he finds out, no, wait, this isn't actually what I wanted, or per this episode, it's something absolutely horrifying that happens potentially. What were you going to say, Pete?
Well, I was just going to say that, like, you know, when the kind of dad left and then they were kind of dealing with the time machine, one of the parts I really liked was they're like, who's good at machines? They all pointed at Vic. And then they're like, okay, so I'll come back in 2 weeks. They're like, 2 weeks is bad. Try 3 weeks. No, that's when all the sex ghosts were here. You don't want to be here for that. It was just
some
fun because it was like there wasn't a good time. There's this place has such insanity going on a regular basis. It's funny to try to have somebody come in who's not used to all of the insanity. So it was,
we mentioned that a few times. I think they almost do that once per season. I don't remember who it was in season 1, but season 2 was Ronnie coming in and pointing out all the weirdness. Here we get Laura DeMille coming in. Like you're saying, Pete, it's an easy device to remind people how insane this world is, but it's fun and they use it sparingly, and I think that's why it works.
Yeah.
Who else should we talk about? Should we talk about what's going on with Larry? Because he's vomiting up black bile, which initially you think is because he's turning into a zombie, but by the end it seems like maybe he's pregnant.
Yeah,
I think he's
morning
pregnant.
Sickness, and he's
100%.
having a little side gut baby. It looks like.
That's exactly what I thought. I think the goo was blue that he was puking up, but yeah, I was like scary at first, and then when he had the little bump, I was like, I think he's going to birth a new negative spirit.
What?
For himself.
Yeah, I think you're probably right about that. It definitely makes me think of the movie Junior, which I always found horrifying when I watched it. Just the idea
What's
of
horrifying?
Like, having a baby in your muscles.
Because
you seem unbothered by it.
yeah, I'm fine with it. You, what do you mean in your? You're like you're worried about your muscles.
I don't know.
You're
It just
worried
seemed like
about
it would rip you to shreds. Like, granted, babies rip you to shreds anyway. I'm aware of that.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know if you're familiar with women, but they actually do that a lot.
Yeah, never met one, but I hope to someday.
Good luck with that.
Thanks, man. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, I think shredded muscles hilarious. All right, but I think that it's weird that on top
Isn't that what they're talking about when they say getting shredded? Like,
Yeah,
my
that's
muscles
exactly
totally got shredded.
Yeah.
It's you had a baby out of your
had a
muscles,
baby.
Junior
Yeah.
style.
That's exactly right.
Exactly.
Junior
But
style.
I just think
I'm gonna
it's
have this
like-
baby junior style.
I
Animal
couldn't
style.
really take anything that was happening in this episode because it was so insane. It was like, also LT's pregnant? There was so much happening. I was like, none of this is real. And when it went from like there were zombies eating Niles' brain to just sitting around having cocktails because of the horrible taste in their mouth, I was just kind of like, this was a little too fast, too furious for me for all that was happening.
By the way, before we get too far, I just wanted to mention for anybody who's listening out there, I feel like most people know this, but just in case not, if you go to the orphanage and you want to get a baby animal style, they don't have it on the menu, but you can order it, and it's really good. It's really good.
It's the best.
Yeah.
Nobody knows about it. Except everybody knows about it.
Yeah, everybody knows about it. It's not that secret of a menu. What were you saying, Pete? Were you talking about something
I'm
else?
saying I'm a
you said
bird.
it.
I'm a bird. Is what I'm saying.
I'm like a bird. And I'd have to eat a Buick Skylark to be a cannibal.
That was a great line. I mean, come on.
Speaking of emotional stuff, though, I do think what hit me the hardest was the plot line with Jane. I thought Dana and Guerrero, it was really, really good in this episode, and all her things about like having more things to say to a person, but them being gone was very realistic. Like, dealt
Especially
with
when you want to say something, but then you're so hungry because the smell of brains overtakes you. You know, I mean, that was a fun kind of fight. Because
Also
you were
very
sitting there with your
realistic,
pizza, or just waiting to go. So I felt like you had to really feel that moment.
I mean, I agree with you, Alex. That's the beauty of Doom Patrol. And again, why I wish someone had told us about it sooner, because it's so good.
great. Yes.
It's so good the way that they can put in these great emotional moments in the midst of chaos and have them really resonate. Like, Jane's story was so small. She builds this Niles effigy and then confronts his head, eats his head, and then goes back to the effigy and is sort of laughing about, like, he said, eat my head, and then burns it and sort of finds her peace. Yeah. It was really sweet, I thought.
Yeah. And we talked about
It was really weird is what it was.
No, it was kind of sweet. Like, I think in the world of the show, yes, everything is weird to an outsider like us. Obviously, we're outside. We're not in the
We're
TV
insiders.
screen. We're insiders?
We're part of the D Patrol.
Oh, that's great. Dorito?
Dorito Dick Patrol? You know who I'm talking
that's the DD Patrol.
You know,
Did you know the DD on
it.
Daredevil stands for Dorito Dick?
It's true. It's true.
God.
That's the real power he has.
I mean, I'm not going to do this. I'm not.
Yeah, he
Gonna
lost his sight.
You have a note? You have a comment?
I don't think of it so much as losing my sight as gaining a Dorito Dick.
Foggy's so jealous.
I'm just going to keep. Let's just move on and talk about the fact that, it was, even Jane being a zombie when she was crying, it was a moving moment, which is an absurd thing because she just finished eating a bunch of butts and now was eating Niles' brain. So, like, it's a crazy emotional roller coaster, but you still felt that tear going down there.
Also, shout out to the butt fighting scene, which was great, super fun, totally over the top gross, but just the different ways they found of eliminating the butts in the most horrifying manner possible was very fun.
All the butts.
That's what I was going to get to, is we have a zombie butt heading towards Cloverton at the end. So
one loose butt. That's all it takes.
So that's definitely coming back at some point. Probably at the end of the season, I assume. But I guess
I think there's trouble brewing in Cloverton, and they already don't like it.
6 miles away, so it's. I mean, how long does it take to a butt to run 6 miles? You know, it might be a couple laps before we see it.
It's a great point. I think that butt was doing like a 440. Like that butt's got wheels.
Really?
Huh. Yeah.
Wasn't that your catchphrase on Dismantle My Ride? that butt's got wheels.
Everyone was like, this doesn't make any. It didn't make sense at the beginning, and they got this DJ LePage guy hosting it. Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Any other moments from the episode that you want to call out in particular? I think we've talked about a lot of Cliff's lines. Go ahead, Justin.
So many. Now, I just want to talk about the movie, because next episode is called Dada Patrol. This movie that Michelle Gomez, Shannon, as I call her, found is made by the Sisterhood of the Dada, and she watched the movie and it made her dance. She involuntarily started dancing. And now I know that's something that happened to you, Alex, when you watched Step Up 2. Do you feel like there's a connection there?
Do you think you're saying, is this a Step Up movie or part of the Step Up franchise? I didn't see Channing Tatum in there anywhere, or the guy with the curly hair who Pete, I'm talking about the one who
Moose, motherfucker, come on.
There you go. I'm sorry.
Number
Pete,
one movie.
You really should have asked Pete about this, because he is way more familiar with the continuity of the Step Up movies than I am.
That seems insane. Didn't you introduce it to Pete? This is something that you two have bonded over, and it's impenetrable.
No, it was one of those things where it was like dancing around it, and then
dancing.
You're even doing that as you're talking about it.
Involuntary.
Oh boy, yeah, it's involuntary.
I just think of how
does that work on an audio podcast? Just so everybody knows listening,
Please
I just did some amazing dance moves.
No, you did not.
It was.
No, stop.
Pete and Justin can't believe how good they were. Their faces are shocked.
I can't believe you just
literally say all your credibility just went away when you said that.
Listen, anybody listening to this audio podcast, prove me wrong.
I would just like to say, as fathers, is it the worst thing that somebody can say to you? When your children say, "Hey, Dad, 2 days ago I died." You know what I mean? Like, that has to be.
That's a really good question. Before I answer it, let me just complete this backflip. There you go.
Wow,
it sounded like you just puked.
If I do too many of them, it stretches out my junior baby.
What? I just love the idea.
Shreds my muscles.
Junior baby.
Shreds my muscles.
Junior baby. I love the idea that in another multiverse, Alex and Pete discovered each other in a comedy theater holding copies of Step Up 2. And the third host is like a hardcore breakdancer.
What are you doing in this scenario? Hosting a comic book show all by your lonesome?
All by myself. Just casually saying opinions as a head, a bodiless head.
On the plus side, though, in that alternate reality, you have all of your teeth.
Yeah, that's true. Hey, that's a secret. That's a secret. I'm currently missing a tooth. Fans of the show will now be able to pin this to the live show that we're doing tonight, where I will also not have a tooth. Great.
Sorry to bring that up. I can cut it from the podcast. I'm not going to.
No, I don't care.
I'm not going to do it.
You're not going to cut it.
Yes. Pete, any moments you want to call out in particular?
Yeah, I appreciated the Frisbee golf shout out that Jane did where, Cliff was like, "Hey, what are you doing?" She's like, "I'm playing Frisbee golf." I thought that was a funny bit.
100%. I loved Baphomet and this Willoughby trying to Cyrano de Bergerac that shit.
Oh, yeah, that was
very funny.
His big plan was just to do all this so he could, hit on the horse's head. I was like, oh, wow, man.
Yeah.
She saw right through it, too. She
did see right through it, but a very fun recurring character, and I love this romance between the two of them. It's very fun and cute, and I'm sure we'll see more of that. I also really like the line really later on, "All right, Walt Disney, what's the plan?"
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Good ref.
Pete already said it, but calling them Solomon's Grundy, like attorneys general, I thought was very fun. The amount of ass that they all ate when they were zombies, I thought was really fun.
I love the detail when Willoughby and Laura head through the portal, where he gives them these big fuzzy hats, and she says, "What's are those for?" And the hat, it's just to keep their heads warm. That's the whole thing.
Yeah, but I like how half an air freshener will cover the smell of your brain. That was a funny
James Dean's car freshener.
Excuse me.
I'm going to make Martha Stewart shit through her mouth with jealousy. This episode had the best lines of the whole series, I thought.
And I also like how the zombies were like, that's not a thing people say.
Yeah. Also, I loved Rita's delivery when she first starts turning into a zombie, when she sees Larry and smelling him and says, "You smell delicious. Do you have ham in your pocket or something?"
Yeah.
And then he goes, "Did you just lick me?"
It's a casual lick between friends.
Yeah. There you go. So lots of stuff in a very goofy, very wild, very over-the-top episode, but also setting up a ton for the future that should be interesting to follow from, like we've mentioned, Sisterhood of Dada, whatever is going on with Laura DeMille, and whether she is, in fact, a bird or an ottoman, we'll find out soon. But who was most doomed this episode? Pete, would you like to go first? Who was most doomed this episode?
Well, I think it continues to be Niles, and that's very exciting, and I'm hoping we don't hear from him for a while, you know?
I like that you've accepted he'll be back.
Right, Pete?
No, I have not accepted that at all.
Okay, Justin, what about you? Who's most doomed this episode?
I'm going to give it to Rita. I think she's got some big changes coming. I loved the end of the ep when she's revealed to be in the video, how it's sort of a scary shot. Mm-hmm. And it's, again, my theory about Rita and Michelle being the same or part of the same entity. I think the dance that they do is a way of like achieving alignment or something like that. It reminded me very much of the OA, if you remember that show on Netflix.
Of course.
So I think there's big changes coming for her.
And I'm going to give it up to Cyborg maybe being most doomed. I think whatever he's heading towards, it seems like it could be good, but most likely, as usual with the show, his quest to become more fully human again is going to come with a bunch of very bad left turns and twists as we continue. And that doesn't spell good things for him or potentially Ronnie if she ever does come back. And if you'd like to support the show, patreon.com/Comic Book Club. Also, we do a live show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. to Crowdcast and YouTube. Come hang out. We would love to chat with you about Doom Patrol. iTunes, Android, Spotify, Stitcher, or the app of your choice to subscribe, listen, and follow the show at Comic Book Live on Twitter, comicbookclublive.com for this podcast and many more. And now, before we go, a piece of advice from Pete LePage.
If you hear something howling, make sure it isn't a butt.
Great advice. And for Cheeto, Frito, and Dorito dicks, I'm signing off.
That's pretty cool.
Flip!
Right?
Another flip.
It's pretty cool.